Today we're going to be working with a big old hunk of Ambrosia maple. This thing is pretty good size. It's got some, looks like old worm or bug damage. We'll see how much that's going to affect us. But it also has some really pretty spalting I can see already. So anyway, gonna get this thing trimmed up a little bit and see if we can make something beautiful out of it. Stay tuned. After getting this piece trimmed up a little bit and especially knocking those corners off, first order of business was to get a faceplate on here to secure it to the lathe. This was no small thing as I was lifting it up, because even at this point it was still, I believe, around 25 pounds, which, anyway, pretty sturdy blank, but I figure we'll just chip away and go slow. And first order of business would be to start getting a little bit of a shape and getting this into round. So hopefully I can turn the speed up a bit. Start flattening out my bottom here, which is also going to help me to be able to turn the speed up a bit. I'm noticing that spalting I was seeing in the beginning now is, I think, going to be pretty pronounced. I specifically didn't want to show a whole bunch of this, the rounding and the truing of the piece, because it did take quite some time and I didn't think it was very interesting footage, but here's some. Moisture content on this piece, when I checked, it was well under 7%, so this had been sitting for quite some time in the shop of the gentleman that gave it to me. It turned actually very well, no big surprises. Seeing some cracks and some imperfections, but to be expected a bit. Trying to decide what I'm going to do with those voids, and I will address those going forward. At this point I'm kind of feeling like I want to do a larger hollow form kind of bowl shape. So I'm going to start working toward a little bit more of a sphere with this blank. The whole time I'm doing this, I'm thinking, oh boy, this is going to make it a little harder to hollow, but I think it'll be pretty, and it's a good way to spend the afternoon, so why not? Little shear scraping to remove some bulk and also get tool marks out. I used a Dremel tool to open up some of these knot holes and cracks, and I'm going to fill them with some 5-minute epoxy so they don't split more. And also I did not know how far they went in, so I wanted to make sure I addressed those as I started pouring the epoxy, and I'm realizing, oh holy smokes, these actually go in quite a ways. All the fun of it. Roll with it and keep going. going to mark out for a tenon, and I decided I would do a little bit more of a wider foot because I kind of like the idea of when this is sitting on the table, it would look like it was sitting up a little bit. Again, really starting to see that spalting, and I'm getting ready to turn this around now. This really did test the lathe because this was one heavy chunk. Thought I'd try to save myself some time and set some depth a little bit, but also take out some of the material in the center with the Forstner bit and start the long process of hollowing in this particular piece anyway. This took quite some time, and I realized that as I was doing this, I really needed a steady rest, even though this is not the optimum shape to use one, because as I was hollowing, I could hear that, not that it was barely holding on, but that I should not be going very aggressive with my cuts. So I went very slowly, and so as not to launch this piece out of the chuck. But it did take quite some time, actually several hours. I'm going to do some sanding, and I usually will take the sanding to about a 400 grit, and then I go through with a very fine steel wool, a medium Scotch pad, and a real fine Scotch pad. I will say that I really thought that I knew this was going to be kind of heavy, that I had taken the walls down thin enough. I really wished I had kind of gone a little thinner, but I did know that this was going to be a heavier piece anyway. But it did turn out, in all honesty, to be a little bit heavier than I intended. I'm going to use some of the Brad's sanding paste to give it about 1,000 grit finish after my steel wool and Scotch pads. And I'll also use some of the Brad's tung oil on there at the end. Terrific figuring and a lot of character to this piece of wood. A lot more than I thought I would see. I've turned Ambrosia maple before, but this is definitely a little nicer than what I've come across in the past. Time to get the tenon gone and start finishing the bottom. And again, I typically will leave the very bottom thick enough so I can leave that nub, continue to have tailstock support, and take it off at the drill press and use the exact size I need to put my branding token on the bottom. Gonna put a little of the tung oil wax now, really starting to see what this piece is made of at this point. Really, really pretty. I think I overdid it on the tung oil a bit. I usually leave this to sit for about 20-30 minutes and then just wipe off the excess. I really appreciate everybody taking the time, if you've made it to the end, watching the video, and I really appreciate all the support from everybody. Please consider subscribing and hit that thumbs up button, please. And this piece, as well as several others, are for sale, and there'll be a link in the description to my Etsy store. Just click on that and check it out. Time to put the branding token on and call it a day. Thank you again, everybody. I really appreciate all the support, especially being brand new. More to come, and hope everybody has a great day.